On today's show, Danny Wolf joins the pod to talk about being drafted by the Nets and his breakout start to his rookie campaign. All that and more coming up right now on today's Locked On Nets episode.
You are Locked On Nets, your daily Brooklyn Nets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to Locked On Nets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team, the Brooklyn Nets, every single day. I'm Erik Slater, Brooklyn Nets beat reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Thank you for making me your first listen of the day. The show is 100% free on all those great platforms. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And coming up right now, we got Danny Wolf coming on the show. We had a good talk. Talked about him being drafted by the Nets. Talked about him becoming a fan favorite early in his rookie campaign. We also hit on his basketball origin story and what his expectations are for his Nets tenure moving forward. All right, we got Danny Wolf joining the show now. And Danny, these have been a fun past few weeks, I'm sure for you, and I know for the Nets fan base. And I had a lot of draft people tell me that they wanted the Nets to pick you just because of the opportunity you'd receive and how much fun you'd be to watch. And through these first 6 or so games, you've already become a fan favorite. You're living up to the hype. So what have these past few weeks been like for you as you live out the beginning of your NBA dream?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great, obviously. Most important thing, obviously, these last few games is we've been able to win some games, and obviously that's the only thing that really matters. And obviously my goal is not to be I don't want to say my goal is to be a fan favorite, but I think obviously just with my play style, obviously it's a little unique and different, but past weeks have been awesome. The group's been really meshing well together, and obviously winning makes everything better, so hope to keep it up.
Yeah, and on that play style, I mean, you do obviously play with a certain flair to your game that is, maybe a little bit unusual for a center, and that's obviously played a role in your popularity. Like, where would you say that comes from? Was there any inspiration behind your play style, whether, coaching, family, people you watch, when you were growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything. Growing up, I was always pretty tall, but I was never the tallest. And so credit to my coaches and trainers for kind of, as I grew older and grew taller, just kind of honing in on my guard skills and all my workouts and games. And my first 2 years at Yale, I was predominantly the 5, but in more of a 5-out setting, so I had the ball a lot. And then obviously last year with Coach May at Michigan, he trusted me with the ball, and I was a primary ball handler, and just he trusted me to make decisions. And then since I've gotten here, it's just been a little bit of everything, and just trying to do whatever it takes to kind of earn the coach's trust, and then just waiting for my opportunity. And then when that kind of came, it's just kind of doing what the coaches want me to do. And sometimes that's going to be handling the ball, and sometimes it's a floor spacer, but just got to go day by day and continue to work.
Yeah, and it was clear that, when you were at Yale those first 2 seasons, you were primarily playing the 5, but it was clear that you had some guard skills. And then you go to Michigan, and it goes from like, oh, he's a center with some fun skills to no, like this guy's a primary ball handler. So what led you to make that change, and what gave you the confidence and conviction that you could do that and be successful with the step up in level?
Yeah, of course. I mean, when I got to Michigan, I always say, like, neither myself nor the coaches knew what it was going to look like. They had never played 2 bigs together, and I never played with a center. I was always the center. So it was a lot of trial and error, and some great, some bad, and kind of just trusted my work and really worked hard at it and put my head down and just worked. And then when I got here, I didn't know what it was going to look like again, because you have no say really, but put my head down and worked, and opportunity came and tried taking it and running with it. But just a start, and there's obviously so much more room for growth in my game. And I think all I can do is just continue to work at it.
And you weren't necessarily like a heavily recruited guy. I mean, you said that Yale took a chance on you. They were your only committable offer at the time that you decided. But when did the NBA start to feel like a real possibility for you? Or was that something that you always thought could be a reality for you?
I mean, yeah, of course, any kid, any college player dreams of playing the league. And in my situation, my freshman year, it seemed a little bit more far-fetched, given I was a freshman not playing in the Ivy League. And you don't oftentimes see that trajectory, and credit to my coaches, and I just credit my work with just kind of sticking with it. And then I committed to Yale. I didn't have a great senior year in high school, just with injuries, and I wasn't playing much. So by the time I committed in I want to say the spring of my senior year, Yale was pretty much the only committable offer. So committed there, was there for 2 years, and then when I entered the portal, I was pretty heavily recruited, so to speak, but it was a short list of schools that I was interested in, and coaching staff in Michigan really believed in me, and I trusted them, and I made that decision, and just kind of, again, put my head down and worked because it was a whole new situation and it was foreign to me, but it was exciting. And then as far as the NBA goes, I think I knew at the end of my sophomore year it was possible, which is why I left to go to Michigan to prove myself, get better, challenge myself. And then at Michigan, I think as I started playing against Big Ten competition, I kind of knew that I belonged and more than belonged, but obviously it was still a huge jump to the NBA and just kept working at it. And that's all I can do now still.
Yeah, and there were, some draft projections had you as high as the lottery, and then you obviously fell to number 27. I was there that night. You were very emotional. What was it like sitting there as those picks continued to come in and your name wasn't being called?
Yeah, I mean, obviously all year long you have all those mock drafts, you have the projections, and obviously none of it really, you got to hold it with a very small grain of salt. You never know really what's going to actually happen until it happens. And I had a great pre-draft process in LA for 3 months. I worked my tail off, and I knew that I put myself in the best position. And I just got to trust my work and trust that something's going to happen for a reason. And going into draft night, there was definitely some landing spots that we thought were going to happen, my agents and my team. And then you're just sitting there on the floor at Barclays and you have no idea what's going to happen. And obviously where your range starts. And so that's when you kind of start getting emotions because it's like here, but the thing is you can't control any of it. And so obviously there were some landing spots, and when those kind of didn't go my way, I was just waiting. And then when my agents kind of told me that Brooklyn at 27, it was just a big kind of wave of emotions very quickly. And I was with a lot of family and friends, which was special. But whether people have me projected lottery or not, that's far in the past. And I don't really think too much about that now because once you're here, everyone's on an even playing field. So I just got to continue to prove myself, work, and just prove why I think that I just got to prove myself.
You're obviously a competitive guy. I mean, when you look at the people that were taken ahead of you and where you fell to, does that serve at all as bulletin board material for you, or is it something where you?
I mean, obviously, in the back of your mind, the teams that you thought you were going to go to, which passed up on you, and I don't want to say bitter taste in the mouth, but obviously, I mean, you want to prove yourself right as to why you think you should have went certain places. But I'm in an unbelievable organization that believes in me and trusts me, and so I could not be more thankful to be in Brooklyn. And ultimately, I think it's probably the best place I could have ended up. So I'm super happy to be here. But I mean, again, obviously going against other rookies, you always want to prove yourself and prove why you more than belong. And so, I mean, just got to trust my work, and that's all I can do, as I keep saying. But yeah, so I think it goes both ways, but I just try to do what I can.
And when you say the Nets, you think that they're the best place that you could have ended up. Why do you feel that way?
I mean, I think that just kind of talking with some of the guys in the locker room that have been on multiple stops, and then some of my friends in my draft class who are at other places, just kind of seeing how the organization is structured and how much goes into your player development, and just how unique their plan is for individual development for different guys on different bases. And it's a player-first organization, and they really prioritize player happiness and making sure you're in the best position you can to succeed. And our coaching staff's great. They're very relatable, and they're energetic. So it's been awesome so far.
Yeah, when you talk about those plans that they have for individual players, I mean, Jordy and his team, they have a track record, not just with the Nets, of being very successful in player development. And you obviously, I spoke to you before the draft. You said you worked out for them. You had, a little bit of a rapport with them. So, what were some of the things that they were telling you in regard to their vision for you leading up to the draft? And what has it been like getting to work with Jordy and, Coach Hetzel and all these other guys that are, playing a role in what you're going to be long-term?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think obviously in pre-draft they cycle in a ton of guys just to get eyes on everybody, and obviously they don't really go too far into depth as to what your plan might be, but they'll tell you some things they like in your game, some things to work on. And a big thing for them with me in pre-draft was just shooting the ball when I'm open. And that was kind of a message throughout the board with all these teams and front offices. And so I just read my shot out during pre-draft in the summer, and I'm as confident as ever in my shot. And I'm in a team that wants to shoot threes. So whenever I'm open, I try letting it fly. Obviously, defensively, it's who can I guard? That's what a lot of people were questioning. Not the Nets, but just people in general were questioning throughout the draft process. And so I've kind of used that as a chip on my shoulder just to kind of prove that I can guard multiple positions and switch. And I'm just trying to do that to the best of my ability. And obviously, it's still a work in progress. And I know what I'm capable of long term, just kind of if I continue to work at it. And but again, I think they're so structured with just how they pay attention to every detail within your development, and from a weightlifting, condition, nutrition, and then on court, it's just what spots you're going to be in, how can we evolve your game, and so I'm lucky to kind of be in that sense.
Coming up, how does Danny feel about his Jewish Joker nickname, and what has he noticed about Brooklyn's other 5 rookies since the draft? We'll get to all that and more after a quick break. Guys, when Skims announced they were making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about Skims comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. The same fits, the same waistbands that roll, and a whole lot of settling. Skims Men's changes that. It's one upgrade, and it's obvious why everyone's been talking. And once I tried Skims Men's underwear, I got the hype immediately. They're designed to feel good, fit right, and actually stay put. No slipping, no sagging, no adjusting. Just genuinely great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. Guys, my favorite pair is the Skims 5-inch stretch boxer brief. What stood out right away was the fit and fabric, soft, supportive, and comfortable all day. They don't ride up, they don't lose their shape, and they hit exactly where they're supposed to on the thigh. So whether you're working, traveling, working out, or just hanging out at home, these feel better than anything you've ever used before. So shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. And when you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down menu to let them know we sent you. Plus, the Skims holiday shop is open. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered. Nets fans, big announcement. I've launched my own Patreon where I'll be providing more around-the-clock coverage of the Nets. As a subscriber, you'll get access to uncut player and coach interviews, video film studies, Zoom calls with me for Q&As, a private Discord server to talk about the team, weekly columns, and more. So if you want to show support, go click the link in the comments and in the show notes below to subscribe. All right, coming back from the break, and Danny, the Nets have played you primarily on the wing and at power forward, and you've gotten to do a lot of stuff on the ball, and obviously that was a big part of what attracted teams to you at Michigan. And when you look at the way that the NBA has developed with some of the things that big men are doing, whether you talk about a Jokic or a Şengün or a Sabonis, did seeing that evolution give you more confidence that, you know, I can push the boundaries of what people think a guy my size should be able to do, and it will still be viable in the NBA?
Of course. I mean, I think you've kind of seen just the NBA evolve, and that you have all of these super, super skilled bigs who can kind of do a lot of different things on the floor. And I mean, so I kind of watch different guys, more traditional bigs like, I mean, I look at a guy like Şengün or Jokic or Sabonis, just guys who are predominantly fives that can play out of different DHOs and play at the top of the key and be facilitators, but then also kind of bigger wings. I watch a lot of like Franz Wagner, just another Michigan guy, and I watched a lot of him at school too. And then, I mean, another guy like Denny Avdia, who's just a super skilled and savvy bigger wing. So I mean, it's just a bunch of guys, and then obviously Lauri Markkanen, who on the Jazz. So it's just all these guys who I kind of watched in college and growing up a little bit, and try to emulate their game a little bit. But for me, it's just kind of knowing what I can do, and just trying to get better at things that I'm not as good at right now. So then long term, I can do those at a high level. But obviously, I know my game's a complete work in progress, and there's a lot of room to grow and develop. And that's kind of what excites me the most. Just what could I become?
What do you think of the Jewish Jokic nickname?
I know. I saw I probably had 25 friends send me that clip of Draymond talking about all these young guys getting compared to Joker. I think it's just kind of a easy thing to slap on young bigs who can kind of pass the ball, because Jokic in our day and age is kind of the prime example of that. And I saw Jokic he said something the other day just about Şengün wanting to be Şengün and calling him by his name. And obviously I've only been in the league for a little bit, but I want to I play a unique game, and it's definitely there's some things to it that aren't as normal in the NBA, so to speak. But I mean, obviously, it's a compliment to be compared to, in my opinion, the greatest player in the world right now. And but I think my game's definitely a little bit different than his. But again, so I don't have too much of a comment on it, but it's definitely a compliment. But I get people kind of wanting to kind of stay away from those comparisons for any of these bigs or any players, just kind of calling them by their own names.
Yeah, obviously big praise to you, although, maybe
100%.
premature, but big
Exactly.
praise. And, you come into a Nets team where you guys have 5 rookie first-round picks. It's never happened in the NBA before. Those 4 other guys are 19 years old. You're a little bit older. You're 21. Are you sort of like the elder statesman of the rookies, or what has that dynamic been like?
No, I mean, our team is so young as is, so it's kind of like obviously it's all I know in the NBA, so I don't really know what a veteran-laden team really looks like, which is a bunch of older guys. So I mean, our locker room is awesome, and guys get along really well. And obviously, there's some things you have to do as rookies, but in terms of us 5, we're all very close. Obviously, we're all different and different players and different personalities, and we spend a lot of time together in the summer. And obviously, just going back and forth with the G League and the Nets recently, the Brooklyn Nets recently. It's some guys are different places, but everyone's very close. But I don't want to say I've taken on a leadership role within the group, just given that I'm a year and a half, whatever, older than these guys. But no, it's good. We have a great group of guys, so it's been fun.
And those other rookie guys, I mean, there's 4 others, so obviously there's a lot of things you could say about them. But has anything stood out to you about their personalities or anything that you've the way that you've interacted with them off the floor?
Yeah, I mean, it's all 5 completely different personalities. But the one commonality just with everything is that everyone is just super eager and itching to work and get better, to the point where I think I speak for all of us, where we'll try to get too much work and where they kind of don't let us to a point. But I mean, everyone's different. I spent time with Drake during pre-draft for a few months, so got to know him pretty well. And just everyone's good kids. No one has big egos. And everyone just wants to work towards a common goal. And it was great to kind of go through the growing pains of being a rookie with other guys who kind of are in the same shoes as you, and then also having younger guys who are a little bit older than you that were just in your shoes to kind of help you through it all.
Yeah, and obviously, like, you guys have the youngest team in the NBA, but there is an importance of veteran leadership. You guys do have some veterans on the team. Is there any, one guy who maybe has taken you under his wing a little bit, or you're starting to learn some things from?
I mean, I think you look at our older guys, I think the 3 that kind of stick out are Clax, Mike, and T-Man. Obviously, all different, come from different backgrounds. And, I mean, Clax is just he's a soft-spoken leader, and kind of people follow kind of his ways. And then obviously when Mike speaks, it holds a lot of weight because he won a championship, and he's an extremely high-level player. And then T-Man's just been around the league for a while, and he's been in big-time games and played with big-time players, and he himself's a big-time player. So they've all done a great job kind of helping us with our ways, and just kind of helping us learn, navigate NBA life, just the travel, the logistics, the practices, kind of, and then obviously on-court stuff, but that speaks for itself.
And I'm not sure how much you know about, this Nets organization, before you came here, but this was not a team that had a lot of consistency in terms of head coaching, especially since the move to Brooklyn. And Jordy has come in here, and, first 2 seasons, people are saying, I guess, yeah, he's overachieving, and he's earning a lot of praise. Mike called him a genius recently for what he's able to do. Just what has stood out to you with Jordy, with his approach, what he's doing on the court, just anything about, him as a coach that has jumped out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's super smart. Like, he's just super innovative with just his schemes, both offensively and defensively, and kind of how he can control locker room. And he's super personable and relatable, and he makes an emphasis to kind of bring guys together and make joy out of practices. And like in the summers, we would do things as a team together. And obviously, again, it's all I know in the NBA, but just to see that president set by the head coach, who's supposed to be the leader of our team, it's he does an awesome job at that. And I think the basketball part speaks for itself. Just, I think Mike kind of hit it best. He's a genius, and just kind of putting guys in the right spots and knowing when to call things for guys just based off of coverages and matchups and schemes. And then he has a great staff behind him that he relies on, and that are all very good at what they do. And again, there's just no egos with the coaching staff, and they're all awesome guys, and super lucky to be coached by them. But yeah, I have unbelievable things to say about all of them.
And last thing before I get you out of here, I mean, you're a Chicago kid, coming here, living in Brooklyn, living in New York City. I mean, what has that been like? What have been your impressions of the city?
I mean, I've always loved New York. Kind of being at Yale, it's a stone toss away. It's only like an hour and a half away. So I would come a good amount of time with just my friends and to see family here. And then kind of being here, it's my first time really. When I grew up in Chicago, I was a little bit out in the suburbs, but kind of my first time living in a city and in an apartment. So it's awesome. There's always something to do. I think there's the best food, I think, anywhere in the country. And then the fans are great. Everyone loves all the sports teams. And then I think our Brooklyn fan base is one of a kind. They're very supportive, and Barclays, it seems to always be sold out and loud. And it's just going to other arenas and just seeing the fans we have compared to other teams. Especially for how young we are. It's cool and lucky to be in such a great organization. So it's been
awesome. And this is also, I mean, you and Ben became the first pair of Jewish teammates ever to be selected to the same NBA team. And there's obviously a very large contingent in Brooklyn. And what has that been like for you? What has that meant like to you? What has, any of the reception you've seen been like around here?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. Obviously, Brooklyn has a super large Jewish population, and a lot of which are Nets fans. So just knowing that Ben and I were coming here together, it's an honor, but it's also something that we kind of got to wear on our shoulders, just to kind of be role models for the Jewish community, and just kind of just do all we can to kind of help in that sense. And then again, just having such great fans that you have more than just Nets fans. You have people from all over that kind of support you, and we bring Ben more so, but just having this large Israel contingency too that are becoming Nets fans. And obviously, same goes for Denny and the Blazers, because for our day and age, he's kind of the face of Israeli basketball in that sense. But it's been awesome, and Ben's awesome, great kid, and kind of lucky that we are in that position.
All right, Danny, I appreciate you taking the time, man. Excited to see what you're going to do with the Nets moving forward from here, but appreciate you taking the time, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Erik. Appreciate it.
Guys, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's where the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Guys, you pull up the Game Time app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchup and compare seat views. Pick a game, tab a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from the exact seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off with Game Time. Guys, nobody knows your money goals better than you, and Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends Advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money too. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All right, coming out of the break, closing out today's Locked On Nets episode. Hope you guys enjoyed the talk with Danny, hitting on all of the things, involving him coming to the Nets, what it's been like since he's joined, what his expectations are moving forward. But just, touching briefly on my thoughts on Danny and his start to the Nets, I've said I think it's about as encouraging as a Nets fan could have hoped for the early returns on that Danny selection. And it's a selection that the opinions on it were kind of all over the board. I said the projections. Some people had Danny as a lottery pick. Some people had him as a late first or even early second round pick. Some people thought that the pick was not a good pick. Some people thought it was a steal of the draft. I said there was one GM in the GM survey who said that Danny was the steal of the draft at where the Nets got him. And I just say, you look at over the last 7 games since he's cracked the team's rotation, he's at around 13 points, 5.6 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 45% from the field, and 42% from three. And I've said with all of these Nets rookies, the main thing that I was going to be looking for from any of them is, do their main skills, their top strengths, do they translate and do they play at the NBA level? And for Danny, he has a variety of them. I think the biggest strength that he brings to the table is obviously his passing, his ball handling, some of the unorthodox things that he can do, in the front court as a power forward, as a center, maybe even on the wing. And we're seeing all of that translate right out of the gate. I mean, offensively, he's benefited from a hot shooting start, but his foot speed, his quickness, his ability to move like a guard, dribble like a guard, pass like a guard, all of that has translated against NBA level defenders. That's huge, because with that, you're going to be able to do so much with him offensively, whether you talk about playing him on the wing, the mismatches that he can present there, or, wing or power forward, the mismatches he can present running big pick and rolls, being a roll man, all the different ways that you can play him. He can do all of these different things because he has all of that offensive versatility. And the shooting is really going to unlock that, because I asked Danny, heard it in the interview, I asked him, about the things that the Nets were looking for from him. And he said that they thought that, him being ready to shoot and him being willing to shoot, that was one of the main things that they were emphasizing to him. And the reason for that is, if he's able to do that and he's able to be an elite floor spacer, or not elite, but a good floor spacer, and he's committed to that, that opens up so much of what you can do positionally. It opens up, things outside of center. He can play that wing spot. He can play that power forward spot. And sure, it's early. It's a small sample size, but he's shooting 42% from three on high volume. And that, he's looked like a legitimate floor spacer. He's hitting contested threes above the break from, 3, 4, 5 feet behind the 3-point line, quick trigger ones. And that, when you see a guy doing stuff like that and stepping in and doing it confidently, that lends confidence that it's going to be real and that he'll be able to do that. And if he can do that and he can be, a 5, a 4, maybe even play the wing sometimes, you have so many things. Like, if you just run down the list of things that you can do with him offensively, he can be a screener, a short roll playmaker, or a pick and pop option. He can be a pick and roll ball handler on big or inverted pick and rolls, or whatever you else want to call it. And he can play that way. He can be that DHO hub that Jordan Fernandez loves in his offense, and play off a guy like Michael Porter Jr. or whatever other big name that the Nets get moving forward. So he can do all those things, in addition being a floor spacer. And the thing that's impressed me most is his ability to hold up defensively. And he talked about that, briefly, because if Danny can't hold up defensively and at least be respectable, guarding guys on the perimeter, all of that stuff I said is pretty much a moot point, because you're not going to be able to play him for extended stretches, at the wing, at the 4, whatever, because he's not going to have the ability to hold up on the other end. And I was skeptical about that. I didn't know if he'd be quick enough to hold up with some of these guys. And I think he's still had some ugly moments, but for the most part, he's looked better than I expected on that end. And that, combined with the 3-point shooting, that's going to go such a long way to unlocking all the amazing things that he can do on the ball to be, this unorthodox bigger guy, have a 7-footer, a connector like that. And I've said it, like, if you guys watch the Nets Scout series where they ran through, meetings, they gave you inside access to meetings talking about all of the guys that they ended up drafting. And one of the Nets scouts who was primarily responsible for scouting Danny said, you don't find a connector like this in the front court. You don't find 7-footers who can be connectors and who can pass like this. And the way that Danny's able to do all of those things, it's just going to unlock so many things. And it's playing into the Nets' vision that they have moving forward, because we've seen it. The way that they drafted in this draft, they took, 3 rookie ball handlers who were very high feel, very good passers, had good size, good positional versatility. Drake Powell, another versatile guy. And then you get Danny Wolf. All 5 of these guys fit into the same mold, in the sense that they're all high feel, unselfish players with good size, good positional versatility. And we're already seeing it with Danny in the front court, with him being able to hold up defensively well enough, with him being a floor spacer. You can put out these lineups where you're playing a lineup like Danny, Yegor Dioman, Michael Porter Jr., Noah Clowney, Nick Claxton, lineups where you have all guys that are 6'9" or taller. And with that, because Danny can do all of these things, as potentially a ball handler, playmaker, floor spacer, you're not giving up, a lot of things in those regards. You're getting all that size, and you're getting the playmaking, the, ball handling, some of the things that you need on that end. So those lineups are going to be some of the most fun lineups. And I think that they are a microcosm, or Danny Wolf is a microcosm of the vision, the way that the Nets want to play moving forward. And these early returns should lend fans a lot of confidence that, he's going to be able to fit into that vision and that they're going to have something moving forward. So hope you guys enjoyed all that. But that's all I got for today's Locked On Nets episode. If you guys do not already, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Nets on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, whether Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you enjoy the content, take a second right now, smash that like button, leave a comment, leave a 5-star review. And as I said early in the episode, I have launched my own Patreon. So if you guys want to have, bonus Nets content, Zoom calls with me, film reviews, a Discord server to talk about the team, uncut player and coach interviews, columns, all of that, go to the link that I'm posting down in the comments, also in the show notes. Go there, pick a tier and subscribe, and you guys will get more Nets coverage every day. The Nets are coming back on Thursday. They have a game against the Miami Heat, so I'll have coverage of all that and more when I'm back tomorrow talking more Brooklyn Nets basketball.